is a crazy video for it to be the first video back. A reaction video of a nigga gunning down the sheriff. Before we get in that bit, need y'all niggas to like, comment, subscribe. Or you might end up on one of these vids. Share the fucking vid and subscribe. And stay tuned in. We posting this shit almost on the daily. I'm getting back on that grind. But without further ado, let's get into it.
I've been having shit, I've been having money, I've been flipping bricks. Call up 30.
Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, and I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're gonna be speaking on a Florida boy that gunned down a sheriff's deputy after refusing to go back to jail. Sunday, March 12th, 2023. A Pinellas County Sheriff's deputy was dispatched at 6:15 p.m. for an auto burglary in St. Petersburg, Florida. Arriving on scene, the deputy spoke with a witness who gave a detailed description of a suspect who he observed checking yards, houses, and looking into parked vehicles as he walked by. The witness followed behind the suspect, watching as he broke into a neighbor's Ford F-150 and began stuffing his pockets with items from inside. The witness was even able to record the suspect on video as he exited the truck. A sheriff's corporal arrived nearby to help establish a perimeter when he saw the suspect running alongside a church fence. With his police lights activated, the corporal radioed in for nearby deputies.
And he was trying to stay next to God. He had to get a little
Sergeant Jacob Viano and Canine Deputy Matthew
he did what he was finna do.
along with his canine Taco, arrived on scene. The canine began tracking the suspect's fresh scent from the area he was last seen running. They'd follow the canine into a heavily wooded area when the dog alerted to a black slide belonging to the suspect. Continuing on, they'd find themselves behind a home on 60th Ave with a 6-foot chain link fence with horizontal slats that prevented them from viewing the backyard. Deputy Aiken lifted the canine over the fence before jumping over himself as he continued tracking, while Sergeant Viano followed 25 feet behind. That's when Viano heard Deputy Aiken's yell, "Get your hands up! Get your hands up! Canine, stop! Stop!" 3 gunshots came from the side of the house. One bullet piercing the deputy's wrist, breaking the bone before exiting through the other side. A second bullet would enter his right thigh, pushing through flesh as it continued out the back of his leg. And the final bullet would strike the deputy's neck, making its way through a maze of veins and arteries while causing temporary paralysis as the deputy fell to the ground unconscious. The suspect then turned his gun on Sergeant Viano, firing another 3 shots as the sergeant dove left, dodging the gunfire while drawing his own weapon. The sergeant then pushed forward towards the suspect while firing 5 shots in his direction. 3 of those bullets would collapse the suspect, while the canine was latched to the suspect's arm. The sergeant would then call in for an officer down as he observed Deputy Aiken on the ground with his gun still in his holster. He'd been ambushed, gunned down, and the clock was now ticking as he was transported and rushed into emergency surgery. The 23-year-old suspect was identified as Zion Bostic and pronounced dead at the scene at 7:26 p.m. A bullet had grazed the back of his neck, another bullet his left shoulder, but the one that killed him was the one that was fired into his neck. Coincidentally, the same area he shot the deputy. Zion had been armed with a 9mm Taurus handgun that had been stolen from a vehicle the previous year. Additionally, a .380 Ruger was found in his front right pocket with an extended magazine. This gun had also been stolen from a separate vehicle. Within his backpack, deputies would find ammunition and magazines for both weapons.
This nigga dangerous.
At only 23 years old, Zion's criminal history was extensive. He'd been arrested a total of 18 times for a total of 34 felonies and 24 misdemeanors since 2015.
Damn.
In 2017, he'd served roughly 9 months in Florida State Prison for carrying a concealed handgun. Soon after his release, he'd be arrested again on drug charges, placed on probation, and a violation would result in another 15 months in prison. But even then, after 2 short prison bids, Zion would find himself arrested only 5 months after his second release, now facing burglary charges. Bonding out of jail, he'd only last a month before being arrested for driving with a suspended license and fleeing and eluding. Given a mandatory court date, Zion would buck court, resulting in a warrant for arrest, which was active at the time of his death. His death sadly wasn't the first in the family, as his father had passed away in 2003 when Zion was only 3 years old. His little brother Isaiah, who went by the name Zay, had been illegally driving a car full of teens when he hydroplaned and lost control. He struck a tree, and firefighters had to free Zay from the wrecked car. While all 5 teens would initially survive the crash, 16-year-old Zay would die from his injuries a week later. Sheriffs interviewed Zion's mother after the shooting incident, and she stated she was aware he'd missed his recent court date and was facing up to 5 years in prison before his death. She further stated to deputies how Zion told her multiple times in the past he wasn't going back to jail, and sadly, he lived up to those words. The wounded deputy survived the shooting and could be seen leaving the hospital only 3 days later as supporters cheered him on. Physically, it's unclear if the gunshot to the neck is still causing a temporary paralysis, as on video, he can still seem stiff. Bullet fragments were removed during surgery, his broken wrist had been casted, and he'll have a long road of recovery ahead of him. But the sheriff's department remains hopeful he'll be able to work again. The sergeant who killed Zion was found justified in doing so and has been credited with saving the deputy's life. Now this case is
That's it for the video. My bad. That's it for the video, y'all. That's it for the video. So if y'all fuck niggas ain't like, come subscribe yet. I'ma kill y'all nigga, bro. I'ma do y'all nigga like Zion did. No, I'm playing. Let me chill. They need to make a video on that nigga Mikey though, cause that nigga just got locked. But hey, I'm gonna catch y'all boys in this video.